Creepy neighbor. This seems small in comparison to all the stories I've read on here. 19F. My whole life I've lived on a small, isolated road about 15 minutes away from the city. My parents built the house my siblings and I have lived in our whole lives. I have 3 siblings, all of us being females. We have neighbors but also aren't too close together like an urban community. One of our next door neighbors, let's call him Frank, has lived on his property about as long as my parents have. Growing up I have always gotten a weird gut feeling from this man and my mom has always told me to listen to it. I have never been alone with him and never plan on it. He lives alone. Had a girlfriend when I was around 10 years old and had a dog who sadly passed away a few years back. My older sister and I would go over to his house and spy on him through a small hole in his barn when we were younger. Tons of pornography hung up all over his barn. Growing up, he has always shown up to our house whenever we have a bonfire or any event where he can hear people having fun. Always unwelcome and it's obvious no one wants him there, but still never leaves. His excuse for this behavior is being drunk. Around June, I had a graduation party at my house for graduating high school. It was absolutely perfect and I was surrounded by all of my loved ones. While things were wrapping up and people started heading home, Frank continued to stay. Quite usual for how he is, but nonetheless frustrating. We began to have fun and it got to a point where the only adults there were my parents and Frank. My mom had went inside to go to bed and my dad was beginning to get tired and kept hinting to Frank that he should be heading home soon. Frank said, "All right, man." He then proceeded to pull out a chair and sit and watch us all play cup pong while staring at minors' asses. My older sister went up to my dad and expressed how uncomfortable it had made her that he was staring at a bunch of minors' asses. My dad is not a confrontational man, but has always made sure we feel safe and comfortable and will be confrontational when the time comes. My dad then told Frank he needed to leave immediately. Frank refused and said, "I'll stay here and watch over the kids while you go to bed." That right there set us all off. One of my friends then starts yelling at Frank, telling him he needs to leave and it's not okay for him to be here, and after we have asked him multiple times to go, he eventually leaves. But ever since then, he has been making extremely gross and inappropriate comments to my dad about how attractive my younger, 17, sister is. My dad has confronted him multiple times and he will not change this behavior and still will come over after being told to stay on his property. Whenever I leave my house to go anywhere, especially at night, Frank watches me through his window. It just freaks me out. He gives us all such a weird, creepy gut feeling and nothing we do to confront him seems to work out. He's done a lot of weird things like this all throughout my childhood, but it's been at an all-time high recently. Any ideas on how to stop this?